what I'd like to do is invite up our next speaker, Royal Diamond Mike DiMuccio, to share with you exactly now why you? Why are you actually here this evening? And with everything that we've heard about, why are you so perfectly timed to be here? And how can you take advantage of this? And why the Wellness Network? Why have a core group of us come together to create this wellness network for all of us to take advantage of what NECANN has to offer and the timing of it all? And no better person to explain that better than Royal Diamond Mike DiMuccio. So please give a warm welcome to Mike.
So far you've been hearing about this evening is about belief, right? Because what you're going to get tomorrow is application, how you actually can apply yourself in a way that can produce results. But if you don't have the belief in what it is that you're doing, you're not going to apply yourself anyway, no matter how much information you have, no matter how good the information is. However, so far you've heard the belief about the industry based on facts and information, the company, you know, the network marketing, wellness, and so forth. And these are all facts and figures. And you can buy into that because they're not your facts and figures. But one of the key components, they say, for success in any business is what? Belief in yourself. I can't give you that. I cannot give you facts and figures that are going to help you improve your belief in yourself. That's why I said they gave me the hardest job. So exactly how am I going to help you raise your belief? I'm not. I'm going to shift it completely away from that concept. And I'm going to touch on that in a minute. But have you also noticed we're always talking about the wellness industry, the wellness industry, the wellness industry. And that's going to be a major theme in this Wellness Network group. And I'll tell you why. It was about 5 or so years ago, I was in Kendall Cho's office. And I remember him writing on his whiteboard in his office that our goal is to be the #1 network marketing company. That's what he wrote on the whiteboard. And by the time he finished pitching me on what it was, his brainstorm idea of his, I just kind of sat there quietly. He said, "You're not excited?" I said, "No." He said, "Why not?" I have a very good relationship with Kendall. He knows when I can be honest with him. He said, "Because that goal doesn't include me." He says, "What are you talking about?" I said, "I don't own any shares in NECANN. So your goal to be the #1 network marketing company does not serve me." And he thought about that for a second. I said, what is the point of building the biggest company if this company does nothing? What exactly is this company supposed to be doing? And shouldn't it become big as a consequence of what it is that it's doing? In other words, are we recruiting for the sake of getting big? Or is recruiting something we need to do because we've got a big job? It's just a small subtlety, but the difference is enormous. Because, and then he started talking about, in fact, it was at a speech, not long after I saw him, I can't remember exactly what convention it was, when he stood on stage and he said, "Our goal is to become the #1 wellness company in the world." And I went, yes! Because it was on that platform everything changed in this company. All of a sudden, Paul Zane Pilzer appears and starts doing his presentations about the industry and so forth. All of a sudden, short time thereafter, we have this thing called the Wellness Home. At first, it was oriented to the NECANN consultant. You get into NECANN, and then you upgrade into a wellness home. And the way it was configured would only matter to a consultant. Because why would anybody want a whole kit of this, that, and the other? It made no sense to me as a consumer. And then it started to transition over to the idea that, wait a minute, the wellness home is our product to the world. And so when that shift took place, and all the things that have been consequential, that required a shift in our thinking as consultants as to how we were going to conduct business and how we were going to communicate this information. No longer are we trying to be the #1 network marketing company, and so the whole ideology that built the network marketing industry has to be rethought. What we are is the #1 wellness company. We network market as a matter of fact. That's how we actually go about doing our business. I mean, we could have done it any number of ways. We could have been a franchise. We could have been a small company, a small proprietorship, whatever. But no, we do it network marketing style for many reasons. It was on a conference call just the other night. I did what I talk about, And the lady said to me, answer my question. I didn't know she had a question. I said, what was your question? She says, I didn't know how I was going to explain to people network marketing because there's a negative connotation out there in the area. And this is a New York City call. And she said, you answer my question. And what occurred to her was network marketing, to me, was an afterthought. It was, the whole concept was wellness. I established why wellness is important, what our position in the marketplace is, how it is that we're making an impact in the lives of people through our wellness home concept. And because she loved everything about that, and she said, you know what, there's a business here. Then I said, now how you can benefit from this is by getting involved in helping us expand this business. And here's how that looks. And so the how, the network marketing side of that was just how they can personally get involved and in doing so create a win-win scenario for themselves. The support and all of the things that go with the concept of network marketing. It's now secondary to the main issue, which is building the biggest company in the wellness industry. So because of all of this thinking and repositioning, and then layering all of our materials so that the second you open your mouth to a prospect, they are going to hear information that by the time they sign on the dotted line will have been the same information, layered and congruent. Images that are the same, all building toward this end in mind. Building a Nikan wellness company, the #1 wellness company, supporting Vision 2010, which if you're not talking about, what exactly do you expect Nikan to pay you to do? Support your vision? Or should you align your vision with Nikan's vision? Think about it. You know? And if we're going to, and what percentage of those 1 million wellness homes will be a part of your organization? And so the question then is, how do you fit into this equation? Because with or without you, Nikan's going to do this. You may not realize that. I'm telling you that. I've been at this 14 years. They haven't been waiting for me to do anything. They just keep doing what they want to do. Fortunately, I want to do it along with them. So the point of the matter is, how can you become a part of this? What can you do to contribute to this? Now, network marketing traditionally asks, what's in it for me? Right? And so when you go up prospecting to people, you're saying, hey, I got this great company that you can join, and you can, and you can. Right? And what are they actually hearing when you're saying that, by the way? Me, 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 me. All right, so if I join, this is what you're going to get. See? See, that's about take, take, take. What I get, what I get, what I get. We come from a society where that's really deeply ingrained, but we've moved. Along with some of these trends, there's a trend toward altruism. See, that's what happens when you pass the age of 40. They say that it's true. They say the cerebral cortex, left-right brain joins, and you have what's called relational thinking, and you start moving toward an altruistic thinking process. And now, you're not so interested in just making money. It has to have some principle and some meaning behind it. So one of the biggest things we have going for us is the fact that we have a philosophy that's driven by spirit. And man, does that move mountains. And people want to know that whatever it is they get behind is going to have an impact way beyond the money. The money is important, but I've never recruited anybody on the merits of the money. And the biggest business builders I have in my downline are not in it for the money. The money is the consequence of this business moving their spirit to action. And so if you think about that, we've taken all of that information and have put it out in the way of the Wellness Network, the way the information is being presented, the credibility that it comes across, all the delivery of that information is so critical to us being able to say what we mean what we say, and be really on target and on purpose with Nikan's mission statement, with the philosophy of the company, so that we're not saying one thing and people are thinking we're saying something else. Because that has been the saga of network marketing since I've been in the industry. We're trying to shift that. We're trying to say integrity first, principles first, mission, vision first. All the rest follows if you get that right. You'll inspire and motivate people into business that you never even thought possible. They would never think about coming in this business because of this approach, the way we're talking about. By getting the priorities straight. Okay, so that's really what the goal and mission of this has been. Now, how does that relate to you? Well, how many of you, where's that marker? Do we have a marker? Here we go. So I told you I wasn't going to talk about changing your belief. In fact, I'm not even qualified to talk about that. We've probably got the best there is in the world to do that, right? How many of you are on the Lead the Field program? Okay, great. By the way, I said to you earlier, some of the things you're going to read, you probably already have. I saw some people shaking their heads. I know this is going to touch off some things where your belief system is concerned, your paradigms, your limiting beliefs. But let me ask a question of every one of you. Anyone here silver in the room? Raise your hand if you're silver or above. Okay. If you had this business to start all over again, how many of you believe you could have gone silver your very first month with what you know today? Okay? So you now have the benefit of hindsight. You could have rolled it all into 1 month's activity, probably even less than that. You see, so when you think about that for a second and what you see on these pages in the days to follow, you're going to say, you know what? I'll bet you had I done this that way then, this is what my results would have been. And so every time you sponsor somebody new, you get to live vicariously through them. It's an opportunity for you to know best and do what you would have done had you known then what you now know. Only you get to experiment on their warm market. And quite frankly, that's the way it is for me every time I launch somebody. It's a complete experiment. I have a plan, but I don't know exactly if it's going to work. But we do it, and we do it with what I'm going to teach in a second here. And you know what? Something happens. But without a plan, it's just chaos. And there's nothing I can teach, nothing I can duplicate. And all I've done is drag somebody into the business that I'm going to have to drag around the rest of my life. So knowing what I'm talking about, becoming consciously competent at giving people a great start in a business is totally your job as a leader. You got to know what you know, and you got to know that you know it. And so some of this stuff is what we're going to cover tomorrow. But let me get to the main gig. So, how many of you seen this drawing before? You know, in my early days, a number of years ago, I used to go around with Bob Proctor. I was like a little, just tagging along, because I just wanted to hear him speak. And every time I heard him speak, I took a little piece of it, and integrated it into my life and into my business. And over the years, I've come back to Bob, and I say things to Bob, and he says, hey, that's pretty good. Like one of those things was I said, you know, Bob, without the law of gender, can you imagine how life would be on this planet? Now, the law of gender is there's a period of gestation for every idea. We don't know exactly what that period is, but we do know for certain things. So, for instance, you plant a seed, and you're going to harvest a crop. We kind of know when that, you know, gestation of a birth of a child or any type of animal, we kind of know the time frame, right? But you just don't know how long it takes an idea to manifest and what it takes to really accelerate that. So I said, gosh, can you imagine without the law of gender what kind of chaos we'd be living? It's like a buffer. It protects us from our own insanity. Can you imagine how many thoughts go through your head in a second, and if you actually manifested every thought you imagine? He thought that was pretty good. So anyway, it's just God's way of protecting us from ourselves. Anyway, the idea here is spirit is. I mean, I think pretty much everybody who comes into this business comes with that philosophy intact. I don't know too many people who don't believe in God. But let's just call God spirit, spirit, God. There's so many names. There's more names than we can imagine. Anyway, the point is there is an almighty force, power, concept that moves and creates, and everything exists because of. It is the manifestation, every element. Go watch a movie called What the Bleep Do We Know? They banned it in Belgium because they think there'll be a revolt in that country if they watch this movie. That's how powerful this movie is. What the bleep do we know? We all need to smarten up and start getting our heads on right, because there's some truth out there that can change your life. Now, what is it comes in to us, and then we get to screw it up. This perfect energy, totally intact, totally complete, totally wholesome, totally pure, and we put a spin on it. And then it comes out the other end in the way of a result. In the way of a result in our life. Now, sometimes those results are things that we're pleased with, and many times they're not. And then we get confused. And then we seek help because we don't understand why we're not getting the results that we thought we should. In fact, weren't we all taught if you get a job and you're going to get the security? And I mean, think of all the things that we have bought into where we go about our business doing what it is that we're supposed to be doing and effectively doing that, but not producing the results that are consistent with the promise of those beliefs. And then we get older thinking, it's me. It's got to be me. Never considering that maybe it's the beliefs we were taught. Well, everybody's doing it. So what? That's just proof of ignorance, widespread. You know, well, look at the companies. Look how big these things. So what? The bigger they are, the harder they fall. I mean, what is an absolute truth? Right? So what we learn is that there's a thing called a conscious mind and the subconscious mind. And no matter how good the idea is in the conscious mind, we are constantly fighting whatever it is in the subconscious mind. It's like a tug-of-war going on in there. And we're not even aware of it most of the time. Unfortunately, the results that we produce are often the product of this thing called our belief system, right? And most of our beliefs are not even ours. They're just what we learn to accept because all our life we're taught to conform. Our whole upward, from the ages of 3 on up is do what you're told. Conform, conform, conform. Gosh, if you looked weird, you'd be treated weird. So we have been programmed to conform because that's how you fit in. And you only fit into places that have belief systems. And so you have to adopt the belief system in order to fit in. It's kind of a catch-22. And so therefore, by our beliefs, we are governed and we create the results in our life, which are not necessarily what we're after. So you look at Unique in Business and you say, well, how is this going to improve my business? Because if you're not going to change my beliefs, my business is not going to change. I have been tackling this problem for a long time. I figured if I could teach people exactly what to do, they'd get the results. What I didn't realize is it didn't matter what they needed to do. They were always subject to their subconscious beliefs. Even if they knew what they had to do, they still wouldn't do it. It was the darndest thing. I just couldn't get it. And then, after enough research, reading, and then some application, I hit it. And when you hear this, you're going to say, but of course. But of course. Well, think about this. You've produced results in your Unique in Business. You're going to look at some pages tomorrow and you're going to say, I don't know, platinum inside of 90 days? Even though you just heard somebody did it inside of 30 days. That's not the first time. I helped a group in Israel do it inside of 30 days. I helped a group in Australia do it inside of 60 days. Marty Jeffrey did it in 90 days. So to me, it's like, who's next? Okay, so that's my belief system. Why? Because the belief system is based on our experience. It's what we believe to be true. Not necessarily the truth, just what we believe to be true. Right? Unfortunately, we're not tapping into a higher power, which is truth. Just we modify it and go with what we believe to be true. So what I realize is what Bob teaches and what so many people teach is in order to modify our belief system, we have to keep bombarding our subconscious mind as often as we can with whatever trick we can. Walk around with a gold card, do all the things you can to keep bombarding the subconscious mind so that what you water grows, what you disregard shrinks. So the positive affirmations and all that start to build your belief and so forth. And you know what? That's so hard work. How many of you find that hard work? And still you're fighting it. And still you're not producing the results. Now, I know that what I'm saying here is probably going to fly in the face of a bunch of things you've heard. But I know what I'm saying is true. Because when you lose your belief and no longer operate according to your belief, you're no longer subject to it. So if you're looking to produce results that are not consistent with your beliefs, and you're looking to do it right now, then you've got to scrub your whole thinking. Forget your beliefs. What difference does it make what you believe? The results you're trying to produce may not be in your consciousness at this time. So does that mean you're never going to change? Does that mean you're never going to produce those results? How would you like to have an absolute quantum change in your life? It means you have to abandon the idea that you have to fix yourself. I know this is heavy stuff, but I promise you, the rewards are there. What if you just went with God's beliefs? Just short-circuit your system entirely. And just let His beliefs be your beliefs. The power of all power, the truth. And so you basically short-circuit your belief. You put the idea in here and you just go right around it. Now, what would you have to do if you weren't operating on your beliefs? Well, how many people know God's beliefs? Right? Sorry. No luck there, right? So, what is another word? What's another word? Yeah. For the absence of belief, faith. You don't need belief. Because all you're going to produce with your belief is what you've already produced. Congratulations, you're just doomed to repeat the past. And so, we're not talking about doing what you've already done. I'm not talking about making a small change in your Nikan business. That's not what this is about. This is about such a huge quantum shift that you are going to be absolutely stunned with yourself. And that means you've got to just step back from yourself and get yourself out of the way, for God's sakes. Because it's too cluttered. It's like years and years and years of stuff that you don't even know what's in there anymore. It's true. You lose your belief in faith. That means you lose your belief in faith. Belief is what you believe is perhaps true. Faith is what you know is true. And so what happens if you get an idea, whatever that idea is? We're going to study a few ideas tomorrow. You get that idea and you say, you know what? I don't care what I think about it. It may be good, it may be bad, it may be possible, it may be impossible. I don't care. It's just an idea. Obviously, these guys took enough time to think it through, worked it out, have proven itself, blah, 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 whatever. Any idea is possible, no matter how ridiculous it is. Especially if we're operating off of somebody else's belief system far greater than anything we could contrive on our own. Now, I'll tell you what I did when I wrote my goal card. I was a diamond, and it was my goal to go Royal Diamond in 5 months and break 15 silvers on my second level. Now, understand something. Breaking a silver on your first level, you have a big hand in. But motivating somebody else to break a silver that's not even been identified is a lot more difficult, especially when you're doing it over 3 or 4 legs and you're doing it second generation. The quantity is 15 of them over a 5-month period. I mean, go ahead, solve that problem. Well, with not a single person identified, I had no idea, but I did know. I had walked with Bob Proctor long enough, I had read the books long enough, and you know what I said to myself? I am going to prove this stuff is real, or I'm going to prove this stuff is fake once and for all to me. So I wrote my goal down. Roy, I'm so grateful and glad I still have the card that 6 Frontline Platinums on or before September 27th, 1997. And then, on the flip side of the card, I wrote the most powerful affirmation I could ever imagine writing. Faith of a mustard seed. And I can promise you, there were times where Mike DiMuccio, knew this wasn't going to work. Driving in my car back from Ottawa one day, and Carolyn Bond calls me up and says, oh, Mike, they're going to pull their order. There's like 2 days before the end of the month, and there goes that silver, and I've only got 1 month left to hit my goal, and the Nikan convention's going to be in Toronto, and I want to be a Royal Diamond for the Nikan convention, yada, yada. And so the doubt, the fear, and all that stuff starts to jump into your head. And I get on the poo party with, poo party channel with Carolyn, and we both, singing the same songs of disease. She gets off the phone, I get off the phone. I'm driving, I'm thinking, and the thought goes through my head, what do you think you're doing? And then I realize, oh my God, I mean, I violated the law. The law is, I don't know how it's going to happen. In fact, I won't know how it's going to happen until it's happened. Only then will I know. But what I have to be sure of is that it will happen and that I must have faith. And so I quickly get on the phone, call Carolyn back, and God love her because she was on the same channel as I was. And we both corrected each other, saying, cancel, 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 forget all of that stuff. Let's get back on the faith. And then we say, it's going to be great to see how this happens. Well, you know what? Of course it happened. In fact, Royal Diamond happened at 6 p.m. As I was sitting on stage in Edison, New Jersey, they introduced me. I would not be acknowledged as a Royal Diamond until I knew it was done. My cousin was on the phone at the back of the room. I had my eye on him, and he was putting the last orders through. He came up to the side of the stage and did this, and that was it. Then I was done. 6 o'clock the day before my goal. Now, to me, that was it. I would never second guess that again. And I swore that that's something that eventually I would teach because I would figure out how to teach it. Who would believe it? Well, I've been doing a lot of stuff on my own and some research and whatever. And trust me when I tell you, I believe this as I believe anything is possible to believe. This is the truth. The truth is we could spend all our lives trying to fix our belief system. And you will, think about it. How many ideas are lodged in your subconscious mind that you would have to uncover to cancel that are going against what you want? You'd have to be a psychiatrist just to be a psychiatrist to study this. And then a man walks in the room and says, by your faith you are healed. Bang, done. Gets up, walks away, blind man, whatever. Dead man. I mean, how complicated was that? Where was the manual then? You hear what I'm saying? When you shift away from this and toward this and do what you have to get yourself thinking about that. You want to write it on a gold card? Do it. Faith. Man, it's not my job to figure this out. God's far more superior in His ability to make things happen than I am. Look around you. And surely, to the creator of the known universe, and for God knows how many other unknown universes, making a Royal Diamond business shouldn't be that difficult. Attracting the right people into your business won't be a problem. Giving you the words when you seem to fail yourself will not be an issue. All of these things will just sort of breeze, and you'll think, did I just say that? Wow. Did they really find me interesting? Wow. Because you're not operating at this level. You're operating at this level. And at this level, what's not possible? You know, that group that went platinum in a month, maybe they believed they could do it, maybe they didn't. I'll bet you 10 to 1, their belief, their ego said, we can do this, we can do this. But underneath it all, they said, well, let's hope, let's try, we'll see what we can do. Right? Even Linda, who was just cheering, really, she was wondering, really, can this be done? Really? Do you think? And I want to do it. And so, that's what was going on even for Linda, I'm sure. But something compelled them to do it anyway. Something compelled it to try. How about you? Why not do the impossible? Why not do what you've never done before? Why not trust something better and bigger? Trust in the power that this thing is real. This will work if you submit. If you submit to it. If you let the higher belief system work instead of your belief system, I don't know what you can't do, honestly. So you're going to read in there, sponsor 18 seniors in 30 days. How many of you sponsored 18 seniors in 30 days? How many of you would like to sponsor 18 seniors in 30 days? Well, you're not going to even try if we operate with your belief system. But if we say, you know what, forget me. I don't know anyway. And I won't know until it's done. But I won't even try. I won't even try. I won't even bother learning any of this stuff if I don't have a little bit of faith. And you know what he said? It didn't take much. Mustard seeds are very, very small seeds. One of the smallest seeds there is. Can move a mountain. Just a little bit of faith. Because it's just enough to knock everything else out. When you know, you don't know. And when then you know, you don't need to know. I tell you, what a relief it was for me. What a relief it was for me to say to myself, you know, I don't know where these 15 silvers are going to be, where they're going to come from, and it's none of my business. What a relief. But it happened. And I wavered only a few times, but I stayed on. And whenever I knew I was in doubt, I would say, it's none of my business. This is your job. I just got to make sure that I'm focused on the outcome. What it is that I'm seeking. Keep doing the best that I can with what I know and what I've got. And trust the process. Trust that it will. And trust me, that's what happened. And that's what keeps happening in my life. So, if anything that I have done in my 14 years within the context of something you desire, you respect, you cherish, matters. If there's anything that you get out of this 2 days that you take to heart and apply, it's this. Take this, apply this, and know this. And when you start to operate from that vibration, because that's what it's all about, isn't it? Vibration. You start to operate off of that frequency, you will see things, you'll see miracles. That's what the common folk call miracles. The ones who are operating on their belief system. Now, I'm going to bring up our next speaker. Tell me how to do this, Craig. Is this it? Thank you. Thank you. Sort of anticlimactic, wasn't it? Take it to heart. Take this to heart.